Well, why don't you give us your analysis of how the defense played on Saturday against Notre Dame, Coach?
Well, some good and some bad. Obviously, we lost. We're disappointed. Really felt like we had a chance to win that game going in. Thought we played well for the majority of the first half. Certainly, we weren't mistake free, but the last two drives before the half were disappointing. The first touchdown drive, we had our opportunities to get off the field. Had them in third down 3 times. Had them in 3rd and 1. We missed a tackle for a loss in the backfield. Would have had to punt right there. Converted a 3rd and 5. We didn't fit things up right in the run game. Had 2 penalties on that drive. One 15-yarder was pushed the ball down the field, and then we had them in 3rd and 7 down the red zone. I didn't execute the coverage in a blitz. Probably a bad call by me in that situation, but certainly had our opportunities to get off the field. And then the thing that was a backbreaker obviously was the busted coverage in the 2-minute situation there at the end of the half. If you go into that in a halftime and it's 10-3, you get the ball come out in the 3rd quarter, you feel pretty good. Offensively, we went down in first drive of the 3rd quarter, kicked a field goal. You'd love for it to have been 10-6 at that point, worst case scenario. And you're in a ball game with, 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter at Notre Dame. And you got a little extra life and some confidence at that point, but not the way it worked out. Is always the case. You'd like to get a few plays back, like to get a few calls back. Looking at myself, made some decisions with personnel, moving some guys around, and probably shouldn't have done that. Those guys, no fault of their own, didn't get enough reps of doing some certain things in practice during the course of the week. As I look back on it, so I didn't have those guys prepared. So that's on me. I got to do a better job. And then he came out in the 3rd quarter and played well in the 3rd quarter, I thought. Then they scored the last 2 drives of the game, I believe. And we were a little worn down at that point. Been on the field a decent amount, and I think maybe half of their rushing yards came on the last 2 drives of the game. But prior to that, I thought we held up pretty well. Did some good things. Still too many mistakes. Still too many unforced errors on our part. So we got to do our best to keep coming along, keep getting better, and keep coaching these young guys up. And I got to do a better job with the calls and putting guys in position to be successful.
So with regard to the 70-yard touchdown pass, I mean, it's hard for us to know who's at fault. Willie Collins turned the guy loose along the sideline, and obviously Jamal Glenn had moved to safety, and he came running over late. But that was a lot of ground to cover. I'm guessing that it was a twofold. Willie may have supposed to get a redirect and send him further up the field where Jamal has a better chance of covering over the top.
Yeah, that's accurate. We were 2 over 1 over there in the boundary. It was a 3-by-1 formation. We want to make sure we had vertical control on the tight end to the field, which we did. And then you were 2 over 1 of the boundary, and to ask a guy basically kind of midweek to go over and play the boundary safety spot that's been playing corner. Really not a fair thing to ask, but it was a combination of a couple of things there that went wrong. And in that situation, I could have helped us more than I did. So that's on me entirely. So got to do better.
But obviously in the end, you forced 4 punts and you had a turnover on downs. That's 5 stops. And I don't know if I didn't go back and add up if you got to get 6.
No,
that came up short.
Yeah.
But still, I think Strauss's stat was that's the most stops that Navy's gotten on Notre Dame since 2004. So you got to feel that the defense at least gave the team a chance.
Well, like I said, I think we did some good things. We're just, the thing that frustrates me as a coach is the unforced errors that you make. And we, going into a game like that, Wags, there's very little margin for error. We knew that going in. We knew we'd have to play our best game to have a chance, and we didn't do that, at the end of the day. But yeah, you look up going in the 4th quarter and don't feel like you've played great, but it's 17-6. So you're in the game, and so the optics of the final score look a little worse than I think maybe it was. But there's, like I said, after the Cincinnati game, there's no moral victories really. Could have played better, should have played better, should have coached better. But when we didn't get it done, it's disappointing. But obviously, we got to move on, and you take your licks and try to get better for it.
So what's your goals during this bye week? What do you want to get done? I mean, I don't know that you're directly in East Carolina. I'm sure you are for a little bit, but you probably also have some other things that you'd like to get done when you have some extra practices.
Sure. Well, we get a head start on East Carolina, which is always good. We're pretty banged up right now, and so for us to rest and recover is really important. Bye week comes at a good time for us in regards to that, but also just we're going out today. It's going to be like a Tuesday practice, and we're going to coach the heck out of these guys and make sure we're coaching up all the details, the fundamentals, the alignments, where our eyes are, some things that we didn't do well last week, that especially with our younger players that are still learning and growing. And we got to keep developing those guys. And so get a couple of extra practices to do that and correct the mistakes that we've made over the last couple of games and just keep getting better.
So with regard to the injuries, I mean, and I start to lose track of all of who's out, but for East Carolina, 2 weeks, less than now, but 2 Saturdays from now, Kevin Brennan, Will Harbor. I mean, some of the guys do you think you're going to be getting some guys back by then? Does it look like there's a chance you'll be a little more, stocked?
I'm not sure. I can't really answer that question, Wags. I don't know for sure. We're gonna prepare like we're not. So that's what I'll say about that.
All right, I'll pass to someone else.
Scott Wyckoff.
Yeah, Coach, how important is it that the young players that are seeing so much time for you now have a short memory, but also how difficult is it for you and the coaches to kind of walk that line to focus on maybe some mistakes, but also, try to have them have a short memory so they can rebound?
Yeah, well, that's how you learn, right? You make mistakes, and the key is, do you learn from those mistakes, and not just mental mistakes, but really, there's some young guys that are playing for us that don't 100% understand like our style of football and our brand of football. Play hard, but not with the elite kind of effort that we're talking about. So that's just a bigger part of it. The way that we do things here, what the standard is, as much as the mental mistakes and things that we got to clean up and the fundamental things of just getting better. But it's our young players are doing a lot of good things. Make no mistake about that, but they're young players and they're going to make mistakes and they're learning as they go. Not that upperclassmen don't make mistakes, but the younger guys have a tendency to make a few more. And sometimes you're put in a game situation that you've never been in before, or you get a new look that you've never seen. That's just lack of experience, and there's no substitute for that, like going out and playing. And so that's just part of it. And that's why you don't want to have to play younger players if you don't have to. But I think those guys are doing some really good things for us. It's going to pay dividends in the future. I'm really excited about the future here with the young players that we've got in the program right now. I'm really, really encouraged by that. Excited about it. Wish they didn't have to play as many snaps as they're playing now, but they're doing some really good things. So I don't know if I answered your question, Scott. I kind of went on a little rant there, but
You did. ECU put up 45 last week. When they're going good and scoring like that, what is it that's dangerous about them? Because this season they've shown the potential to put up a lot of points.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about a team that could easily be 8-1. If you look at the games and the scores, that's a team that could be 8-1. When the games that they've won, if you look at the stats, they've run the ball for 250 yards in those 5 wins on average. The games that they've lost, they haven't been able to run the ball effectively. But when they're able to run the football, everything else flows for them. And I think the quarterback, when he gets a hot hand, man, he is as good as we'll see all year. So he's playing really well lately. He's been in that system for 3 years now. He's a savvy veteran quarterback and manages the game well for them and does a lot of things very well.
What does it mean for the defense when a punter like Riley is on his game and flipping the field like that?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. As you guys know, man, field position is critical, and that's not something that's been great for us. The last 2 seasons, you look at just average starting field position, things like that. So when you've got a punter that can flip the field, I mean, it's enormous, and it's a huge benefit for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Phil Bergman.
Coach, I want to learn a little bit more about Rayon Lane. You called him one of the best athletes on the team. Just what's so special about him, especially as a freshman?
Well, he's obviously the athletic ability piece that he possesses is a unique skill set. Don't have a lot of guys like him in the back end, and he's got some natural instincts that make him a good player back there. He loves football, plays with some passion, some energy. And he's one of those young guys, again, that I'm really excited about. He's going to have a really bright future here, but we need it to be bright right now, obviously, because he's playing every snap for us. And like a lot of the other young guys are playing, he's still learning and still growing. And so his ceiling is really, really high. And I've got to bring him along as a guy that's in my position room. We need to see him get better exponentially every week. And I think he's doing that. I think he took us a little bit of a step backwards against Notre Dame in some regards, some things we've got to clean up, just from a eye discipline perspective, getting lined up. You play a team like Notre Dame that shows you, we got a ton of different formations from those guys, unbalanced to the field and the boundary, empty, a bunch of different ways, a lot of motions and shifts. And so that's hard on a young player that's not used to seeing all that stuff. And so I've got to simplify some of that stuff for them. But he also has to play with a little bit more discipline as far as his eyes go and getting lined up and communicating, those kind of things. So, but yeah, he's got an opportunity to be a special player. He's certainly a special talent. And we get those other things cleaned up. He's going to be really, really good.
And then John Marshall, we talked to him after the game Saturday. He had a big fumble recovery against Tulsa, then a big sack against Notre Dame. Just what have you seen out of him over these past few weeks?
Yeah, we made the move to put him back at striker. He'd been playing the high safety for us. We were predominantly playing the 3 high stuff. I think he feels more comfortable there as the overhang down there to the field. And he's certainly, I think, playing his best football right now. His ability to make tackles out in the perimeter has gotten much better. He's playing more physical than he has and flying around and making some plays, which that position for us, Phil, if we're humming on defense, that's got to be a really productive position for us. And he's done some really, really good things the last 2 weeks. So excited about the way he's playing right now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll make one more trip around. Wags.
Well, further about Lane, you mentioned in what ways has he improved since he's been inserted into the lineup and pressed into duty and asked to do more? What have you seen him improve upon?
Just his overall knowledge of the defense and, the conceptually the things that we do and the technique piece of things of what he's asked to do. Had really made a lot of progress, I thought, after the Tulsa game, just with his eye discipline, some of the things I mentioned earlier. And like I said, I thought he regressed a little bit against Notre Dame. And that's things that we don't realize is that's the first time he's ever been in an environment like that. And I think about that, you're 18-year-old kid and you're playing against Notre Dame in an environment like that. That's a lot to handle. And I got to do a better job of calming him down and reiterating some things about, we just got to be much better with our eyes and our focus has to be more narrow. We say this around here all the time. It's a Nick Saban deal. You see a lot, you see very little in football, but if you see a little, then you see a lot. Meaning, if your eyes are in the right place, you can play fast. Your eyes are on your keys, they're not going to lie to you. But when your eyes start to wander a little bit, that's when you get in trouble. And that certainly happened with him a few times on Saturday. A few times that he was wrong and it didn't get exposed, and a couple times where he was and it did. And so, but he's, like I said, I can't say enough good things about Ray. He wants to be a good player, and he is, and he's going to get better and better. But he's young, and that's how we learn and grow. And but to be a freshman and do the things that he's done, very, very impressive.
Do you think sometimes with a kid like that, he gets a little more experience and he thinks he knows a little more than he does, and then tries to maybe do more and sometimes you have to bring him back to basic fundamentals. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think the thing with Ray is he wants to make every play. And in high school, you can get back there and you're that talented and you can run around and have your eyes wherever you want them and you're going to make a ton of plays. And even in our defense, you can line up back there and run around and make 8 or 9 tackles. But the piece that you got to understand is when you're wrong, it's going to cost us more than the other plays helped us. And so you just got to understand that he's just a piece of the puzzle, and he knows that. But I think in a game like that, you can get a little carried away and try to do too much sometimes. And it's not just Ray. I know he's the guy we're talking about, but it's happened to a few of our players, including some of our upperclassmen. In those big games, you want to do well and you want to make plays. And sometimes you get in trouble trying to do somebody else's job or trying to do too much instead of just doing your job.
I see on the depth chart behind Diego is Woodson Brooks and Kyle Jacob, 2 freshmen. How did that emerge? I know that you've had injuries inside and your depth chart's thinned out, but how did those 2 guys suddenly come to the fore?
Well, a little bit of what you just mentioned with the injuries, and then also those guys have shown flashes of having some ability to help us. I don't think either one of those guys are quite ready yet, where Coach Volker feels comfortable putting them in the game. I think Gianni's close. I think the thing we are going to do this week is we're going to move Terrell Adams, to Mike. I think he's just been back a couple of weeks now, but he's healthy, moving around well, and I think he'll give us some solid depth there. And he's a guy that knows our system. It's a little bit of a transition going from Will to Mike, but we've got some time to do that. And so, what we need to be able to do is to get Diego out, to keep him fresh from time to time, but you have to feel comfortable about the guy you're putting in there to do that. And I think moving Terrell over there will help in regards to that.
Another Terrell with Marshall going back to striker and playing a little more striker. What are you doing with Fletcher?
Fletcher's playing Will right now, and he's got the ability to play both. Obviously, if we get an emergency, he can go back to striker. But he's repped at Will the last couple of weeks, and that's where we started him. And when we started fall camp, he was at Will, and we moved him to what we call that jack position, the 3 high stuff. And so he was predominantly playing that, but we moved him back inside for depth purposes and because we need to play better at Will. And so we got to keep bringing him along. He's super talented. He's obviously a freshman that's still learning as well. And it's not easy to play Will Backer in our system. But he's a big, long, talented dude. It's got another guy's got a really bright future here. We've got to keep bringing him along. This is what the off week is also good for guys like that.
Does that pretty much mean that Hodges and Diego took every defensive snap inside against Notre Dame?
Not every defensive snap, but the vast majority of them. Yeah, they did. Fletch did take some reps in the game at Will. Diego took every snap at Mike.
Okay.
Scott Wyckoff
I'm good, Coach. Thanks a lot.
and Phil
Sir.
Bergman.
Yeah, coach, just looking at the 3 deep, there's 18 guys that are either freshmen or sophomores out there right now. Just as a coach, what's it been like working with such a young group right now and just getting to teach them and mold them into the players you want to be?
It's enjoyable, because those guys are hungry. They want to do well. They want to play. And it's fun as a coach to start to teach and mold those guys. And it's also rewarding to see their growth throughout the season. And, as I mentioned earlier, playing those guys, there's some inconveniences about it now, like I said, but it's going to pay dividends in the future, that they're getting those game reps and that experience right now. We typically don't play that many young guys. And so that means good things for our future here.
Well, just talk about your development here. I mean, you're kind of thrust into action due to injuries, and you're talk about how you've developed, how you've improved since you first started playing more on defense.
Yes, I think it all started, going into practice pretty much like, Coach Newberry, he has this whole motto like prepare as if you were the starter. And so that's kind of like what my motto is. And like pretty much like everyone on the team, we all like pretty much like come to practice. We come to work hard. And then like just like every time we get a chance to like watch film and stuff like that, seeing what you're doing wrong, and then going out to the practice field and just like keying in on those like small details and stuff like that. And that's really what I've been trying to focus on. Every time we get a chance, every time in practice, when we watch film, just been focusing on the little things just to prepare.
So what's it like? I mean, last year at this time, you're playing Mount St. Joseph, and now you're playing Notre Dame in front of 80,000 fans in Notre Dame Stadium. At times, is that overwhelming? Do you have to almost pinch yourself and say, I cannot even believe this? You didn't get a prep school year to adjust to, and now you're thrust into big time college football, national television.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but I don't really think it overwhelms me. I just think like it's just like awesome to just like get that feeling, like be able to be out there and be with my brothers and have the fact that I know that they trust me, like the coaches and everyone trusts me to go out there and complete and do it like a hard job out there. I think it feels great just being out there, being with the guys, knowing the coaches, knowing my teammates trust me. It feels great.
So obviously Coach Newberry says that, you're a work in progress and it's one step forward, two steps back. Sometimes he thought you made a lot of progress against Tulsa, but he thought he used the word regressed a bit against Notre Dame, and the stats say you made 9 tackles, which looks good, but he said you made some mistakes, didn't have your eyes in the right place, and did some things that could have cost the team. Is that hard to hear, that constructive criticism? Or, I mean, you're a learning guy, so I presume that you're not perfect. You're only a plebe.
Right. I mean, obviously hearing that I was like out of position or eyes in the wrong place at times, like it's kind of like it hurts. But I think like knowing Coach Newberry, knowing that he's always going to keep it real with me no matter what, I think like at the same time, it's kind of good that I can hear that criticism. So like next time where I get in like in a big stage or another game or anything like that, I can really focus in and like know exactly what I need to focus on. So like things like that won't happen again.
And I was been meaning to ask you, Jessup, is in both Howard and Anne Arundel County. There's parts of Jessup. Which county do you live in?
I live in Howard County.
So where would you have gone to public high school? Howard High?
Well, I moved recently. So before I was zoned to go to Howard High School, but then we moved over like right in like Savage Jessup area. So I would have went to Hammond High School.
Okay, gotcha. So what are some of the things you still feel you need to do better? What is Coach Newberry challenging you to improve upon, other than what we just talked about, eyes in the right place? But are there some other skills, techniques that you need? You look at a guy like Kevin Brennan, watch his film, and that's probably what you aspire to be, as a guy like that who's so far advanced in his game. What do you want to still improve?
Well, you see a guy like Kevin, you can just tell, like, looking at him, how dialed in he's in, like everything. He's like always watching film and like just anything you would need to know about the defense, he would know that. So I would like to like just keep on grinding to get an overall like understanding of the whole defense, like knowing your position and what you're supposed to do there is like pretty good. But like I think once you get the knowledge of knowing the whole like defense, the ins and outs, that would be good. I also want to just work on having a high motor throughout the whole game, showing that consistent elite E effort, topping off when you can, getting everywhere and anywhere whenever you can. I really want to work on that.
All right, I'll pass it off to someone else.
Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Rayon, I'm Scott Wyckoff with WBAL Radio in Baltimore. How did Gilman prepare you for the Naval Academy, both as a football player and as a student?
Well, first, definitely like academically, Gilman, it's tough there. We have a pretty rigorous curriculum, but I think it prepared me pretty well. I've learned, coming here over plebe summer, what they tell you is like learning to fail. So I've definitely like learned how to fail and like how to deal with like certain circumstances, into like when I'm down on all fours, be able to get back up. And so definitely in that aspect, definitely worked. And then from a football perspective, we got a new coach recently, and he's just been doing amazing things, you know, just explain like what the next level is like. You know, we've been doing like I've learned how to work. Like he's just taught me a lot of things because when he first got there, I actually didn't even play football. I was a basketball guy, you know, just wanted to play some hoops. But then he just really like taught me the ins and outs. He taught me how to work out. He taught me how to do like DB drills, lift weights, eat right, and different things like that. And those are like definitely things that helped me.
What went into your decision to go to Gilman?
I believe I made it. Was it my 8th grade summer? I think 8th grade summer. Yep.
And that was a school that you just know you wanted to go to?
Yeah, because like I said, it all started from basketball, and then like talking to them, I knew a lot of people that were going there that I knew like from Little League, like from AAU and like club football and just like different things like that. And like after like doing some research and everything, we pretty much thought like, you know, like pretty much the best of both worlds, and like it's especially like striked us academically. So that's what me and my parents decided that we were going to do.
And when did you realize you really wanted to go to the Naval Academy and play football too?
Oh, that one. I can't remember a specific date, but I just know like it was sometime, and I was watching so many YouTube videos on Naval Academy. I was talking to people because, you know, there's a few people that went to Gilman that actually still go here now. So, you know, I was talking to them and then it just clicked. I was like, man, like I gotta go. This is where I want to be. And I remember like I called the coach the next day and was like, yes, like this is where it's at. I want to be here. And yeah, it was great.
And could you have ever imagined that you'd be playing so much your freshman year?
Oh, it definitely came as I would say like a surprise. I mean, going through like fall camp and different things like that, it was like kind of hard to see what my role might have been. But like you said, you come to practice, prepare like you're the starter. Every time and opportunity fell in my hands, and I just ran away with it.
Well, good luck rest of the season and your first semester at Naval Academy.
Thank you.
Bill Bergman.
Hey, Rayon, just looking at your bio, you lettered 2 years in football. Did you start playing football your junior year, or was it a little bit before then?
So I played football pretty much my whole life. When I got to high school, I played my 9th grade year. That was like JV. I mean, I didn't really take it too serious at that point. It was just like something to do for fun. And then what happened was I decided that I was gonna sit out my sophomore year, and yeah, after sitting out, I was like, wow, like I didn't know football really meant this much to me. So then like when I got back to my junior year, I was like, yeah, like I'm definitely playing this and this and that. And then that's like actually like where I started taking it a little bit more serious and having fun with it and things like that. So yeah.
Because of COVID, you only had 2 games your senior year. So heading into the Naval Academy, it was almost 1 year high school football, and that's it. Just what's this past year been like, just really learning the sport again and growing as a player?
I mean, it's been crazy, you know. I've just been trying to be a sponge for information, you know. Anywhere I can learn something about football, whether it be on YouTube or talking to coaches or just like talking to players who've been through it or anything like that. That's what I've been trying to do. I know this summer, like getting my body right was one of the big things I wanted to do also. So, you know, I was eating, getting to the gym, you know, working out. I was actually like working out with my little brother. So that was a good time for us to bond this summer. We were all like we're just going hard, trying to learn everything we could. And yeah, that's just how it went.
Were you a Navy fan growing up?
No, I liked Ohio State because that's where we were originally from, Ohio. So I was all in about Ohio State.
And lastly, just to touch on something that Bill Wagner asked. So like 4 months ago, you're getting ready for the prom, and now you're playing major college football. Is it weird to think of yourself 4 months ago to where you are now, and just how much has changed and just what you're going through?
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to think about. I mean, like who would have thought? But you know, we're here now. I mean, it feels great. getting to play at a big stage with players who are just selfless, players that I trust, that they trust me, and just being a part of the brotherhood. It's great.
Great. And are you 17, 18, 19? How old?
I'm 17 right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I think 18. Yes, 18.
That's okay. We'll make one more trip around. Wags.
Well, so, I mean, just how is this experience, this whole, crazy year? You're thrust into the action. I mean, I don't know that you expected to play. Did you start off on scout team, or were you pretty much, on the depth chart midway through August camp, you realized you were going to be needing to play?
So no, I never started off on scout team, but I don't think I actually made the depth. It was really special teams. So originally, I came in, and the way that I made the roster was just being on special teams, just coming in hard, working on every special team I could. So kickoff, point, and just things like that. And then in the game, just trying to make my reps count on special teams. And that's how I kind of got to work my way up into on the depth and getting reps in practice and stuff like that.
So how much has Kevin, Brennan, and even Mitch West helped you as kind of student coaches, if you will?
Oh yeah, they've helped a lot. Kevin's out there every single day, and he, any question you need to ask him about the defense or about life or about school or anything like that, he can get that answered in a heartbeat. He's out there, he's coaching, he's just there no matter what. He still comes to the meetings and everything. And I mean, I would say it's just great having a person like that who's willing to help you, you can talk to, because they've been through the same thing you've been through, and just needing that little motivation or a little mentor in a sense definitely helps out. Kevin helps out a lot.
Oh, thanks.
Scott Wyckoff.
Where did you grow up in Ohio?
I grew up in, Richland County? Yep. So that's Richland County, Ohio.
Was that hard up and moving to Maryland when you were young?
I wouldn't really say I noticed it that much, because I think I was about 6 years old when we moved up. The biggest thing was just because, all of my family, they still live in Ohio. So my grandma and different people like that, that was the biggest thing. I used to beg to go back just to see them. But I think I got used to it. My whole family, we got used to it, and we made a nice home up here in Maryland. So, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And Phil Bergman.
Ryan, when you found out you were starting that first game, who was the first person you called, and what was that call like?
It was, I think I didn't call anyone, but I told my little brother, text message him, because my little brother, that's my dog. We talk, we do everything together. Anytime I can get home to go with my mom to pick him up at school or anything like that, I'm always there to try to go do it. Any game I can get to of his, I always get there. So, when I told him the news, he was hyped. He was just hyped, basically jumping up and down, screaming through the phone type of thing. It was nice. It was crazy.
How old's your brother?
He is 15, 16,
Okay, cool.
16.
So you guys are close in age. Okay.
Yeah.
And why the number 18?
It was number 18. It was kind of just given to me.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it was given to me, but I think I'll stick with it. I like 18. I like 18 a lot.